Death to you, Father.
No!
Not you, Father. You, Father.
Yo, Riders! Welcome back to another video. So that Venom video. I did some numbers. I'm gonna keep doing these talking videos where I yap. To that I say, welcome to another yapping session. I like the other video. This is gonna be adding a character to the game instead of making a rework. I might do some reworks in the future, but I think Venom was the only one I wanted to do. From here on out, it's just adding characters to the game. And today we're adding a character I hope rivals adds. The Red Murder Goop Devil, Carnage. Just a little quickie for people who don't know who Carnage is. Carnage is the son of Venom. More specifically, the symbiote that Brock wears. The other, or the symbiote. It goes back and forth. Carnage is the symbiotic bond between Cletus and Red. Carnage in the comics is a very formidable guy, mainly because they have a perfect symbiotic bond. The reason why Carnage has a perfect symbiotic bond is because when Venom broke out of prison, a piece of him fell off and went inside Cletus's bloodstream. Because of this, the symbiote combined with his blood and kind of became one with him. And I won't go into detail about it yet until we get to the parts of his abilities. The thing you need to know about Carnage is that he is insane, a psychopath, a murderer, and more importantly, he loves his teddy bear. Until he killed it. Carnage is a character I really hope they do add in Marvel Rivals. Hopefully with this video, it does encourage them to add him. So come on guys, let's spread the word. Anyways, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. You know what the best Wu-Tang Clan album is, daddy?
Don't say Liquid Sword!
Liquid Sword! I think I made it pretty clear. I think primary fires are very important for a character. You're gonna see it the most, and since you're gonna see it the most, the primary fire is gonna represent the character the most as well. And because of that, it's very important to make sure that Carnage is a melee character. But before I go into what his melee does, what is it gonna look like? Well, I'm kind of debating on which one. I'll let you guys choose because I kind of like both. But we could give him a sword, kind of like how Hela's Queen in Black Skin looks like, how her swords look. Or we give him scythes. He mainly uses like scythes or like scythe-like looking weapons in the comics, and you know, I wouldn't mind him using that. Now that we know what his primary fire looks like, what is it gonna do? I was originally gonna make it like Mr. Fantastic, where he just punches, or in this case swings, but he's still able to move his arm around to hit as many people around. But I think we'll make him closer to Magic, where the swing is like just within that area, but can still hit multiple people. So it's gonna be like a little scythe motion, even with the sword. You know what I mean? That little crescent circle, the little crescent hit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like just picture it. I'll put an image in how he's gonna hit. You know. That's really it about the primary fire. Just wanted to make him a melee DPS. And that's another thing I forgot to bring up. He has to be a DPS. Pretty obvious. I don't think he'll be a good tank, but he'll be a good DPS. I know people suggested him being a support. I don't see it. If you have your ideas that they're suggested in the comments. Anyways, that was pretty much your primary fire. Now we're gonna talk about the next thing, which isn't the abilities yet. I'm gonna talk about something different. I'm gonna talk about his passives.
Power up!
I gave Carnage 3 passives. Is that too much? Probably. Let's go over it. Let's go with the first passive. It's the same exact one as Venom's, which is alien biology. Pretty much in the comics, all of Venom's kids and descendants will pretty much have Spidey's abilities, which is mainly web swinging and more importantly, wall crawling. I decided to give Carnage wall crawling because he does crawl sometimes. Also thought it'd be pretty cool to make it consistent in the game that anyone related to Venom will have wall crawling. So you know, that's pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the 2 passives I created for him. Go with the first one. So the first passive. First passive is pretty much every hit he does, every melee attack, every ability applies bleed. I think giving him a bleed effect is pretty cool. There's not really much to say about this passive, just as simple as I said before. Hit someone, you give him bleed. That's it. But it can get stronger, which leads to our second passive. The second passive I did give a name. It's called Power Up. Pretty much every time you apply bleed or get a kill, you level up. Or power up. It's gonna be similar to Blade's ability where every time you hit someone, the bar goes up to 10. And we're gonna do the same thing, but instead of 10, it's gonna be 100. So they give you the stats for it. Every time you get a kill, you get 100. But if you don't get a kill, you can still level up, but you have to get the ticks off, or the bleed ticks. Pretty much you have to reach 100 bleed before you can level up. I'm sorry, power up. God damn it. So, what does powering up do? Pretty much, powering up just increases your damage and more importantly, increases your bleed damage. Somewhat. What I mean, bleed will do more damage, it's just it's gonna tick faster. But the whole point of this passive is to encourage Carnage to be a very aggressive character. Pretty much he's gonna be up in your face all the time, and you better hope you don't land a hit. But the one thing about Carnage though I want to add about him is that he's gonna be very fragile. I'm gonna give him 250 HP, kind of making him easier to kill. But if he could die so quickly, what's the point of playing him? Well, that's when we get into the abilities. So let's see how he gets out of situations. Or get in. This segment might be the longest because there's so many abilities I had to choose from and wanted to show you guys all of them. But before we get into that, let's call back to what I said earlier about how Red and Cletus have a perfect symbiotic bond. Like I said earlier, a piece of Venom went to Cletus's blood. When that happened, pretty much him and the symbiote kind of became one. And because of that, they can do a lot of things a lot of other symbiote hosts can. The best way I could describe it is that when Eddie and the other become Venom, Eddie is still the main body. Symbiote kind of is like a skin-tight suit. So what that means is that Eddie can't like rip his arm off and hit someone with that arm, because it'll just rip his arm off and the other can't repair that. But with Carnage, he could take his arm off, hit someone, and then reattach it because he is one with the goo until he isn't. So how does this lead to the abilities? Well, like I said, he's a perfect bond. He can straight up just make himself into a puddle and just slither away. But before I get to the movement abilities, I want to talk about an ability I did want to give him, but I just scrapped it. Pretty much I was going to give an ability similar to Mr. Fantastic, where he can neglect damage somewhat. But I feel like that just make him another Mr. Fantastic clone, so I decided not to do that. But I was going to make like the Let There Be Carnage scene, where they're gunning him down, and he just opens himself up, you know. That would be cool, but I scrapped it. I'll go through all of them, the beginning being the ones I scrapped, and the last one being the one to add. First one was going to be a simple web swing, kind of like Venom, but like I said, I scrapped it. Though Carnage does web swing, I don't really associate it with him, so scrapped. Now these next two, I did kind of debate because I really do like both of them, but I only had to choose one. And unfortunately, the one I'm choosing is one of my favorite ones actually, and it's going to be something like Janemba. Now I did say it's going to be like Janemba, but the ability is more similar to Reaper's ability where he teleports, but I wanted to give it the visual effect of Janemba, where he just like deconstructs and then he just goes all the way over there. Like you kind of see the body slither down and all that. It was going to look cool, but you know, I felt like that would suck only because less like Reaper, he just stands there, then finally teleporting. So, you know, it's going to suck to escape because they're just going to gun you down when you do it. Still, it'll probably look very visually cool. Unfortunately, though, it wouldn't really have much use of getting out. It'll probably be pretty good to go in there and engage. But I wanted to give an ability that could get him in and out, and that unfortunately will probably be better to go in than out. So, that's why I chose the next ability, which is going to be him turning into a puddle of goo and then slithering away. Now, turning into this puddle of goo gives you multiple options. Like I said, you can get out of there pretty easily. So you can slither away. It's kind of going to look like Venom's ult, where he turns into a little blob, but a bit more skinnier and smaller. You can still take damage, but like a little small snake. They're like trying to hit you, you know? But when you're in this blob form, you can easily engage in people because as you're slithering towards someone, you press the primary fire button, you lunge towards someone, doing a little mini command grab as you land on top of them and start cutting them. Kind of similar to the Stalker in Left 4 Dead 2. Honestly, to me, this ability seems in character to Carnage. Maybe it doesn't have to turn to a little board like Venom in his ult, but like, you could do something variety of it. Maybe he could split himself apart or something. But no matter what, I want him to lunge at someone, because he does that a lot, you know? So just make him lunge. And to me, that's the perfect movement ability for Carnage. Honestly, this segment was really hard because I didn't know what to give him for a movement ability, and honestly, that's not bad. I think him separating himself or just making himself a little bored, like I said earlier, is pretty good in character for me. He does it a lot. So, you know, I did my best. Maybe you guys can come with something better. Put it in the comments if you can. And let's get to the next segment, the abilities, which is way easier for me to make.
We're not having cake.
Wow, that was long. The new movement abilities are so hard to talk about. Luckily, from here on out, I know what abilities I want, and we're gonna kind of speed run through them. So, ability 1, tendrils. So yeah, I was gonna give him tendrils. I was gonna make it his primary fire, but you know, let's make it a secondary. These tendrils aren't like Venom's tendrils, where you're just aiming at something and then you just shoot them. These tendrils are gonna be auto lock. The best way I can describe it is when an enemy gets close to you, you press the secondary fire button, and next thing you know, tendrils come out your back and just stabbing them. Think of it like the Spider-Man scene from Endgame. And like the rest of the abilities, it does apply bleed. And the most important part is that it hits multiple enemies. Like I said, it's auto lock, and I kind of made it just for it to be as a finishing move slash a back off move. Kind of like are they close to you, you press the button, and then they get hit a lot, and they're like, alright, I need to back off. Like I said in the other video, Carnage does use tendrils in the comics, but this particular thing I'm trying to do, I don't think he really does. But you know, that's the first thing I thought of when I was making this character, so you know, add it. That being said, let's get to ability 2.
I know you see us. I wanna lick it up. I wanna fucking eat.
So this ability is going to be very similar to Mr. Fantastic, one where he grabs you and either pulls you forward or he grabs someone else and he slams both of you. In this case, he'll do the same thing. He'll still pull you forward and do damage, or, which is the main idea of this ability, pushes you against the wall. Pushes you against the wall and holds you there, and he just can do whatever he wants to you in that situation. Kind of like he just stabs the shit out of you. Carnage does come to rivals. This is one of the abilities I do hope he has. Like, those abilities I do care about, but this one's the one I care about the most. Mainly him just throwing someone against the wall and then holding him there is what I picture of Carnage a lot. Actually, when I thought about the gameplay of Carnage, that's the first thing I thought of. It's him grabbing someone and put him to a wall and then just stab them. But really, that's all of ability 2. It's pretty simple. Just putting someone against the wall, holding him there, stabbing the shit out of him while he's maniacally laughing at the same time. But yeah, that's ability 2. Not much going on, really. Pretty simple like the other ability. I think the abilities for Carnage for me, when I thought about it, was really simple. Nothing too complex. Other than the movement. That was the hardest part to talk about. And now we're at the end. And now, let's see the ult. Carnage is old. I think it's pretty obvious what I'm gonna use here. But still, I had some ideas. Let's go through them. I'm gonna go through one of my scrapped ideas, which was gonna be really ridiculous. It's gonna be called Absolute Carnage. And pretty much, it'll be like Emma's ult, but instead of like using the mind control thing, he like stabs everyone in front of him, like he impales them. And he pretty much makes them go forward. So they're intentionally hurting themselves. I feel like that'll be really wild to do, so I didn't add that. But you know, that was an option there on the table. The second option I wanted to give him was even more ridiculous. It's from Minimum Carnage specifically. It's a short mini that focuses on Agent Venom and Kane Spider-Man. And pretty much, the ult's gonna be what he does at the end, where he just gets really big. Like, he just turns into a giant. Turns into a big-ass giant, and he was just gonna stomp or just hit as many people there. Yeah, I just thought that'd be fun to do. Not really Carnage-like, though. I don't think so. And, scrapped it. The last one I chose, which to me was pretty obvious was gonna be chosen, especially by the name, which is called Let There Be Carnage. I wonder what it's gonna be. Yeah, I think if you watch the movie, you know what I'm gonna suggest. Carnage NATO. Yes, the idea I chose for this character, for Carnage, is Carnage NATO, only because I thought it was a funny scene, and why not? It's just a good amount of ridiculous, and honestly, I can see him doing it. Just him spinning fast, but like instead of like making a tornado and then grabbing people and then spinning them out, kind of like Storm's ult, he just cuts them. Like, he just straight up just cuts them. That's what it is, spinning and then cutting. And again, to the stats of it, I'll probably just give it the same ult time as Storm's, maybe just double the damage, or like not double it. That's horrible. More like just increase the damage a bit. Also, the ult giving bleed, like it's like part of his whole mechanic. So the ult's gonna also give bleed as well. So you know, even if you live it, you might bleed to death. And just like Storm's ult, you could gun him down and kill him while he's in the ult as well. Gotta make it somewhat fair, you know? And if she could die in the ult, why can't he? Anyways, that's my pitch for Carnage. So yeah, hopefully I do add him to this game. Hopefully I do a better balancing than me, you know? These whole videos are talking about how I'm not a dev for a reason. Pretty much some of Carnage's abilities and whatnot. He's meant to be an aggressive melee character that applies bleed to every attack. His whole playstyle is to get up in your face, try and kill you, or at least get you low enough for you to freak out. So his game plan is pretty much slither in, jump on you, stab you, push you against the wall, stab you more, and then leave. Or in this case, slither away. And that is Carnage and Marvel Rivals. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me a while because, Jesus, it's hard to make a new character. The next video should be coming up soon though. It's going to be about what abilities to give Venom. You're going to be confused by that because you did the rework. And what I mean is team-up abilities. You'll be surprised what team-up abilities you could have. So stay tuned for that. That should be a pretty quick one to do if I'm being real. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all. Peace.